Ladies and gentlemen, Spooky Scary Skeletons Trap Beat by Strazdine.
Trap Beat!
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul. Seal your doom tonight. Spooky scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek.
Dude, them xylophones.
That was cool.
Xylophone game.
Happy Spookyween, everybody.
Happy Spookyween, and welcome to Dank Ass Stubs 2015 Limited Liability Corporation, all rights reserved.
GmbH.
HMO. Wait, GMO, HMO.
GMHMO.
GMHMO.
Genetically health modified organ donor.
Yeah.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Jerry. I was almost Jaren just there.
You were almost Jaren. I'm Ari.
I knew a guy named Jaren.
I'm Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I was thinking about this the other day. If you changed any number of like notable characters' names, they probably wouldn't be as notable because like you need a name that matches a character. Because if Harry Potter's name was like Barry Potter, it just wouldn't be as impressive.
That's always weird when you see like the parody version of a character name, and it's always like, yeah, it's once you change those first few sounds at the beginning of a character's name, it loses that punchy memorability.
Yeah.
Like Barry Trotter.
Barry Trotter. Or even if you just change, like, you know, it's just like if Indiana Jones's name was like Ted Michaels, like it just wouldn't be impressive. It's like... It's
always funny the characters that are like in like airport novel type things, John Grisham type things, like, oh god, what... Shit, like Jack Reacher, any of those, like,
yeah.
You know, John Rambo, any of those characters that like began in kind of like action novels that you see in the bargain paperback section.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, you know, if Rambo's name was Carl, we wouldn't really remember.
Carl Rambo.
Carl Rambov.
Carl Rambo sounds like he would be a car salesman.
Come on down to Rambov RV. There are some...
I'm Carl Rambo. Come on down to Carl Rambov RV.
There are some odd dealership names throughout this country. In the limited amount of traveling I've done, there are some... Yeah. There's some interestingly named people who sell automobiles.
Yeah, and then it's weird. It's like you feel kind of cheated when it's just like Mercedes-Benz of Valencia. It's like, come on, man. I want a goofy-ass guy's name.
Yeah, it's like, what? And it's always that. It's always like, not that you shouldn't be proud of whatever your name is, and not that it's not annoying to have people make fun of it, but, you know, like, I think there's like an Ed Butts Toyota somewhere, and it's just like, what is it that it compels, like, because there's so many oddly named dealerships, so what is it that compels people to go, you know what? I'm not going to call it, you know, Toyota of Tri-County. I'm going to call it, you know, my name. I'm going to call it Butts Toyota. Like, you know.
Butts Asses Toyota.
Yeah, it's like what, you know. What is that has occurred to so many people?
I think it's just, you know, there's some people that are really proud to own a dealership, I think.
I guess, yeah. You're supplying people with their means of livelihood if they can't do everything from home anyway.
So, God.
It's
Halloween.
I know, it's totally Halloween. It's Halloween Eve, and I thought that maybe it might be nice to, you know...
Yeah, catch up,
you know.
We haven't gotten dank since we were dank pressed.
Yeah, we were pretty dank pressed last time, and I think now is a good time to maybe have like a party, a little Halloween party here. You know, break out the...
Jerry's rifling through our music tracks.
I just want some like fun... That's not fun.
That's not fun. That's spooky.
I don't know what this is.
This is spooky EDM. It's like that sounds like that was repackaged. Something that was originally meant to be the Matrix score. How have you been? I think we need to catch up a bit.
We do. Yeah, lots of things have happened lately.
You got back surgery?
What month was it when we recorded Dankpression Quest?
Dankpression Quest ceased sometime in September, I want to say.
Oh wow, okay. So Jump Cut would have already closed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was working at this wonderful coffee shop, the cinema coffee shop. We would show movies, and it was very independent. And there we go. This is
This is fun.
Little fun music for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were doing that, and it was just that kind of job that you look back on, when you're older, and you're like, man, it was the summer of 2015.
Yeah.
We were just a little shop, and the ice machine didn't work, but we showed these movies, man.
Stand by me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the song, or it's just you got to have that Wonder Years track,
or like an Adventureland. It was like Adventureland.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, it's kind of rough around the edges, but like...
I felt that our first few years of working the haunt we worked, the first few years doing it had that very Adventureland feel, and then eventually you kind of grow up.
Well, and big business.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my sort of like, what a lovely little thing. And then that went away very abruptly. And then I had back surgery.
Yeah.
And that was exciting. I had some problems in my spine.
I had to go under the knife.
Yeah. It's a small incision, though.
Oh, okay.
I can show you. My bandage came off.
Oh, the bandage came off?
Yeah.
Was it supposed to come off, or did it fall off?
Yeah, he said after.
Oh, it's just like... It's like just an inch. It's literally an inch.
Yeah, 3/4, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was microscopic invasive surgery.
Nice.
But yeah, no.
Well, I mean, it's not microscopic. I can see the incision.
Well, okay, fine. But they were operating on a microscopic level. So they had very small tools. I like to think they had a very...
Just imagine like a guy holding these tiny baby tools. Like the little things like a jeweler uses to probe into things.
Yeah, maybe.
Like the kind of forceps that you use to assemble a ship in a bottle.
Oh, yeah. That's what I like to think of my body as. It's just a ship in a bottle. That's really all bones are. But yeah, so surgery, and then I haven't been haunting as much because of that.
Yeah.
And then started working another job, so things are going around.
Yeah. Things are moving.
It's just been a very scribbly couple months, man. Like, it's like...
Slapdash.
Yeah, and so I was, like, off my feet for a couple weeks, and then when I got back on them, it's like, I tried to ease back into society, but, like, the second I went outside the door, life was like, oh, you're back, okay!
Yeah.
Like...
Deal with this!
Here's all this stuff, like, you're gonna start a new job, and that's gonna be cool, but then you're gonna have to do all this other stuff, because, you weren't around for a while, so we're gonna get you back up! And it was so, it's been a little bit overwhelming getting back into stuff, which is why our schedule has gotten crappier. Or, it's a big contributing factor to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, but lots of things have happened. I've spent weeks on my face. I was cut into. My employment changed hands. Mischief, mayhem, and taxes.
Yeah.
Paid some taxes. I went to a show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What
saw
show?
Ghost.
Oh, that's right. You saw Ghost. I saw the Father John Misty.
How was it?
That was a fun show.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it was, and I was very nervous because I had never been to the Wiltern before, so I was like, oh no, are these seats going to be good? And it was fine. It was perfectly fine.
Hell yeah. Were you in the balcony? Or were you on the floor?
We were, God, I'm trying to remember. We were at the very high end of the rake, but I don't think we were balcony.
Oh, okay.
We were
they don't usually...
We were mezzanine.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Wait. The Wiltern has more than 2 levels?
I don't...
Were there chairs or was it standing room?
It was chairs.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because usually when I'm there, it's just standing room. But...
Yeah, and that was a fun show.
Yeah, it seemed like
it was a very enjoyable show, and
was it pretty comprehensive? I mean, he only has 2 Misty albums.
Yeah, it was pretty comprehensive. I feel like I can count the songs he didn't play probably on one hand.
What didn't he play?
I can't remember. I think he didn't play. There were some later, deeper cuts from Fear Fun that were not in the show, like God. I want to say he didn't play He didn't play Misty's Nightmares.
Oh.
Yeah, and he didn't play. I don't think he played Teepees.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want to say he didn't play those 2.
Father John!
But of course, I mean, I think it was probably a 40-60 split with 60% being things off of Honey Bear.
Honey Bear. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I'd kill to hear some of that music.
It was fun. It was a fun show, and Mr. Tillman was just this oily dude in all black, dripping sensuously across the stage.
Beautiful. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I was so fucking. I yelled out yes when he went into playing Ideal Husband. Because that's a rockin' ass track.
That is a rockin' ass tune. That's a very good tune.
Speaking of rock, New Dead Weather launched.
New DW. Yeah, New Dead Weather on the same day the new Silver Sun pickups came out. So
Silver Sun Pip Pops.
Silver Sun hip hop. It's just very dreamy, but still with like a rock and roll edge, hip hop.
I feel like I gotta sit more with the New Dead Weather, Dodge and Burn, because right now all that sticks in my mind is the opener, really. I Feel Love.
Yeah.
And it's just everything after that, just kind of a blur in my mind, oddly enough.
That is sort of how I've had it too. I mean, it's a thick record.
Yeah.
Because what is that, like 12 tracks or something?
Yeah, I think it's about that.
Because I was thinking about this the other day. Is like in the modern times, one of the happy byproducts for me, as it pertains to music and the internet, is because of the internet, because like bands are more accessible and music is more accessible, and you can release little things between albums. Like albums have gotten slightly shorter.
Yeah.
So it's like usually 8 to 10 tracks, like 8 longer tracks or 10 reasonably paced tracks. Like that's a crisp album to me now.
Yeah.
And so whenever you get one that's like 12 or 13, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of music.
Yeah, I love it when I get to me it's like I grew up buying CDs before the big explosion where the internet just totally took over music.
Yeah.
Same. Granted, theoretically, I'm still growing up as we speak.
Yeah.
But
no, you've stopped.
Yeah, I've stopped.
You're gonna stay this way forever.
I'm never gonna age.
Ever since that man painted that picture for you.
Oh, that's right.
Which, by the way,
I just thought the picture keeps on aging, so I thought I would age too.
No, dude.
Oh,
it's not a mirror. It's not the mirror of Dorian Gray.
Well, excuse me.
I was watching that the other day, though. Speaking, because it's Halloween.
Which version? Because apparently every so often there's like a British remake of Dorian Gray that's more homoerotic than was in early adaptations.
It just ran on Turner Classics, I think. It was... I'm not sure what year that was. It was a talkie, and it was...
Yeah.
In black and white, although they spliced in these color moments with the portrait that were
Yes,
really...
I remember this version.
Which were, like, really... I took a picture. It's, like, surprisingly, like, icky and grimy and kind of awesome,
I love it when you
heavy metal.
I love it when you can look at an old horror movie and it is like genuinely disturbing and kind of gets under your skin crawly.
Yeah, and it was surprising because you have that sort of, or at least you look back on classic horror and you don't think of it as ever being as in your face as modern horror is, but like the painting of Dorian Gray, the actual picture, when they first showed it, I was like almost taken aback. I was like, "What commercial is this?" Because it looks like the cover of a heavy metal album. It does.
Yeah, it kind of
looks like a fucking Slayer.
Yes,
record.
I remember this. It looks like, I feel like you could very easily edit that to be Eddie and it would be a Maiden album cover.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's all nasty looking and it's like that hyper detail, and then you've got these like just oozy psychedelic lines and stuff. Yeah, and then it looks like the Count from Sesame Street.
Yeah, it does.
It
is very psychedelic.
Yeah,
Which version of Dorian Gray is this?
I'll hit the IMDb up. It had a very fast-talking British gentleman, and then Dorian Gray himself.
I still really want to see Eyes Without a Face. That's something that's been on the list for a long time as far as like creepy older horror movies that are very unnerving. And speaking of which, I love that same kind of style of just like, the character that you just have to constantly look at who ostensibly has no face. I'm glad that is being kind of revitalized as a horror bolstering tool in a visual in Goodnight Mommy.
Goodnight Mommy.
I really want to see Goodnight Mommy. I finally saw the trailer last night. And that's
man.
I haven't been like that like captivated and unnerved by a horror movie trailer since The Babadook.
Dude, the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke is on fire.
The Duke is on fire. We don't need no water.
Let them...
Just feed it some meat.
Worms.
This is it's Albert Lewin's 1945.
Okay.
The Portrait of Dorian Gray.
Okay. So
Here is a still from the film itself, without the heavy metal maiden.
I do recall this. I do remember seeing this on the TV box in my youth.
With this strange-looking man playing Dorian Gray.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know like there was a recent Dorian Gray movie where it's like Dorian Gray was this very kind of Orlando Bloom type pretty boy, and they do really, get the idea that, like, as Dorian Gray continues to live, he's getting more and more debauched, and he's doing all kinds of crazy sex shit.
I don't dislike that as a way to go, I guess.
I mean, if you're gonna do a gritty kind of more out there, in your face, modern taste appealing Dorian Gray, I think it makes sense to show more of the debauchery.
Yeah, dude. Well, it makes it, and to make it, we love like twisted psychology, at least in like a light way. So yeah, to have it go from,
and I mean, it is originally an Oscar Wilde book, so I think Oscar Wilde would appreciate like scaring the prudes and the straights with crazy sex shit.
Oh, Oscar Wilde, Olivia Wilde's dad.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No, wouldn't he be too old for that?
Probably, unless he had a picture that kept him from aging.
Oh shit! It's autobiographical. Well
Yeah.
done. Well, D.
He's not really dead and buried in that French cemetery zone. So,
Oscar Wilde. How do we get on this topic from Father John Misty? I forget.
I have no idea. How do we get on any topic from wherever we start?
Drawing from life experiences. We were talking about tunes. Dead Weather.
Dead Weather, Dodge and Burn.
Dodge and Burn, yeah. I mean, I keep meaning to, like, it's one of those times where like a lot of music has come out lately. So
I am still digging Meliora, the new Ghost album.
Yeah.
I feel like Meliora is the Ghost album that everyone wanted.
It's the little Ghost album that. Actually, that's probably the first album. I mean, like, the first album's a really good, sort of thesis on, like, this is what the sound would be like. And then the second one, especially listening to it now, like, I do get the sort of production woes.
Yeah.
Because it is very bass drum fuzzy, like...
Meliora, or?
No, it's Festisumam.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and there's some great songs on that, and there's some great, sonic ideas on that, but I do agree, it's like the guitars don't have as much punch, they're not as close to the front, so the bass and the sort of, I don't know, not room tone, but the sort of atmosphere tone kind of envelops everything, which isn't bad, but it does take a little bit of the punch out of the music. So you put on Meliora, and like, the second those guitars set in, it's just like, oh, like...
And you kind of understand where you're at.
Business.
And you kind of know where you're at, where that, like, old-ass theremin starts tweeting.
Well, I love that, and one of the ghouls described it as such as, like, the first album, like, each album skips to, like, a different time period and sort of a different, like, elemental aesthetic. So the first album he described as being sort of, like, wood, very sort of wood and thatch and old.
Yeah, and had that medieval feel to it.
Yeah, and the second one he described as being like tarmac, where it's like it's like paved road. It's like, building materials made out of further technologies and things like that. Like, when they figured out how to mix like mud and hay and like make bricks and shit. Huh. So it's more like skip ahead to Rome or something like that. And then the new album is supposed to sound very iron and very not industrial musically, but like kind of Metropolis.
Okay.
So they skipped ahead to the 1920s they said they wanted to take a more modern
and
look.
That's literally around the time the theremin was invented.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, that's the era we're in, yeah. We're going to have these like, and even the choirs are still there, but they're very different choirs now. They're, because in Festisumam, the choirs are very... very Roman Catholic Church. And on Meliora, they're that sort of despairing, the kind of thing you would hear like in an old expressionist movie.
Yeah. And all the way across, they still maintain the sound that feels very like proto metal, kind of Blue Oyster culty, or
doom metal.
Yeah, or like early, like
early Black Sabbath.
Yeah, early Sabbath, but without the gruffness of the vocals, because like every new lead singer, every new Papa Emeritus goes through, he always still has that very kind of melodic and sort of almost like very pretty voice.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
almost,
and that makes the harmonies.
Yeah, and sometimes the vocals kind of feel very Duran Duran-ish.
Yeah, a little bit. It's like, I don't know. I guess that it matches the like he's of the church. He is probably a good singer.
Yeah,
he is of a church anyway.
Yeah,
a devil church. But
very spooky.
But yeah, no. I mean, it's like it is like the full realization of the sound, And they played a crazy show.
Interesting.
They played a very cool show. It was the Mayan, which is an interesting place to see a show like that because, it's got all the sort of Mayan architecture and faces in the walls and, you...
Yeah, I saw the mountain goats at the Mayan.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Mayan is cool. It does manage it's not so big that it stops feeling intimate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So Ghost was really cool there. They pulled out all the stops. And they worked in some of their, like, newer tricks into the show. So, like, they played one of the songs acoustically to kind of borrow from the, like, Unholy Unplugged stuff.
Okay.
So that was cool. Like, they left the stage and they all came back with acoustic guitars. I was like, oh, they're doing this. And, like, they worked the band leader outfit into the show, too.
Huh.
So he did, like, the first half in the full-on robes and then changed partway through. So... It was and they had this like big stained glass backdrop, and they even had that woman from all their videos introduce the show.
Oh wow!
So she came out and like addressed the audience like it was going to be some kind of a ritual.
Okay, it
was wicked cool, and they played a pretty comprehensive set too.
Yeah.
There were only a couple things that were left out, but it was a very solid, very heavy set. Those songs, especially like Miliora, has a thunderous quality, like a giant monster footsteps. I always think of.
Yeah. And I think that fits the Metropolis thing. It's like giant machines moving.
Yeah, just like giantness and ever working because the riffs are intricate and the things that are going on are intricate, so it feels like a machine going. It never slowing down.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, music. There's been lots of tunes.
Yeah. Meow the Jewels.
Meow the Jewels. You'll have to tell me about this. What is this?
Run the Jewels, a hip-hop super duo.
Okay.
With Killer Mike of being Killer Mike fame and LP, who is a producer he's worked with many a time. They're now teamed up to make this badass duo called Run the Jewels. A year ago, a few weeks back,
okay.
Like last year around this time, they released Run the Jewels 2, which was a badass album, and just not that long ago, they released Meow the Jewels, which they've been promising for a long time.
Okay.
Which is a remix album. It's Run the Jewels 2, remixed using cat sounds.
What?
And all the titles are like cat puns worked into the original track puns.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so first track is called Jeopardy on Run the Jewels 2. In Meow the Jewels, it's Meowperdy. Okay. Oh My Darling Don't Cry becomes Oh My Darling Don't Meow. Blockbuster Night becomes Paw Fluffer Night.
Okay.
Love Again becomes Snug Again.
Aw, that's cute.
Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck becomes... which was the track that originally had Zach De La Rocha on it.
What happened to him? Did he leave?
No, I think he may still be in the remix. No.
Oh.
The original track had Zach De La Rocha on it. I think he is still... They maintain his verse in the remix.
Hey, it's right outside your door now.
Yeah.
Testify.
So Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck becomes Close Your Eyes and Meow to Fluff. And apparently the remix...
How did this come to be? How did this happen?
I don't know. It was just promised and then it was delivered.
I like that. It's the simplicity.
And I just love that Killer Mike is just kind of everywhere now. He gets invited to the White House, and he gets on Bill Maher to talk about hip hop and Black Lives Matter and cool shit like that.
His opinions must be killer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's impressive to me is like this.
Thank you for not.
Yeah.
Just not. What's the word?
What?
You know, when you like approve of something as so as to encourage more of that behavior.
Yeah.
What is that? There's a word for it, and it's gonna kill me now.
Validate.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't think maybe I don't know.
But Killer Mike. It's crazy because he had a track called Reagan where he basically gave this, the lyrics were this very vague, this very like virulently political diatribe about Reagan starting the Reagan spearheading the war on drugs as this, basically head cracking operation that kind of busted down, predominantly minority neighborhoods. And he mentioned how basically these efforts and these policies that you can see in Ronald Reagan have been repeated in both Bushes and Clinton and Obama. So he basically says he says on a track, Reagan did evil shit and Obama did the same evil shit, and he still gets invited to the White House to wear a tux and chill with Obama.
Damn.
It's like, what is that conversation like?
Good golly.
Yeah.
How did he say it went?
He apparently had a very good time.
Okay.
And he tweeted and he said that Obama was very funny.
I believe Obama would be funny.
Yeah.
I believe Obama's got some
humes.
some wit, and he's probably quick. He's probably quick.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm just I wonder if they like addressed that in conversation or if they just like kind of glossed over it.
I don't know. I don't know if they would have talked about it. It's dinner.
Yeah, it's like we're among friends.
It's like if you invite me over just for Thursday, then we'll go. I'll bring it up in the kitchen.
You invite me to the press correspondence dinner where I have to wear a black tie. That's a different affair.
Yeah, we will. It's a black tie affair.
Yes. But what I found crazy is like all oddly enough, all my favorite rap acts are endorsing Bernie.
Hey man.
Killer Mike went on Twitter and endorsed Bernie. Lil B endorsed Bernie.
Lil B endorsed Bernie.
Yeah, Lil B said he was gutting and championing Hillary, but now he's on Team Bernie.
Interesting.
When he's not going on ESPN and talking about which athletes he's cursing with the base god's curse.
What's the base god's curse?
Lil B got into a beef with Kevin Durant a while back and then decided that he cursed Kevin Durant, and then because Kevin Durant talks shit about Lil B.
Why? What did he say about Lil B?
Kevin Durant basically went on Twitter and was being saying something like, "Why is this guy relevant?"
Oh no!
And Lil B just got saying that's not cool, and decided that he was going to put a hex on Kevin Durant. And then there's this whole thing of there's a significant list of people who were cursed by the base god's curse and no longer are, and then guys who still are cursed. And I don't think they're long, but they're significant.
How does...
And he's gone on ESPN. He has gone on ESPN to discuss which players from which teams are cursed and which are not. And a big part of it is
how did they respond to this?
How did ESPN respond to this, or the individual basketball players?
Well, when they have him on, is he at the desk with Michael Strahan and whoever else?
I think I don't know. I don't watch ESPN.
But it's football, but
yeah, it's with it's with some.
So he's with their desk.
Yeah, he's in the studio.
And they're just so Mr. B.
Yes.
Who have you cursed today?
Basically, it seems more friendly and jovial and tongue in cheek.
Yeah, of course, but how?
It's like Fox and Friends, but not enraging.
How much in on it is everybody?
It seems like everybody's in on it, including Lil B.
Oh, good, all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he is.
Lil B is. This episode of Dank Ass Stubs is brought to you by the sampled air horn button app Ham Horn. You may have caught Jerry using Ham Horn to accent the Strasdine.
Oh bitch, I go ham.
The Strasdine shit. It also has that on it. During the Strasdine super spooky scary skeletons trap beat remix.
Scary skeletons.
Yeah, the original song Spooky Scary Skeletons, also created by the same guy who composed Thank You for Being a Friend, the Golden Girls theme song.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thank
Rue
you.
McClanahan.
Thank you for being a spook.
Hey, man.
Thank you for being a government spy.
Yeah, hey, man, those are the scariest people of all.
Yeah.
What's...
To sum up the Lil B thing, there's another added dimension. A lot of what gets a guy cursed by the base gods cursed is apparently when they, during a game, they're like seen aping Lil B's patented cooking dance and not giving credit.
I'm just... This conversation requires footnotes.
Yeah, it's like infinite jest.
Which is so... Yeah, it's like... It's almost terrifying, but it's also really amusing. So, hold on. What... Does the base god's curse... Is it like the same curse all the time?
I think it's
is
the
it like
same
a
curse.
specific curse?
No, I think the base god's curse is just the base god's curse, and it's just there to punish athletes with poor performance. I don't know what the effect is.
Okay, and how do you lift the base god's curse? Like, can you do it yourself?
No, I think Lil B has to undo the curse, and you have to like make amends with Lil B for him to lift the curse.
Okay, so you apologize, you make amends, and then does he do a thing? Does he have to announce it?
Yeah, I think he just announces that your curse has been lifted.
Is this on his Twitter? Can I see it?
Yeah,
I mean,
Lil B's Twitter is like very active, so you got to do some digging to find some curse-related stuff.
All right. Okay. So
especially if it's girl time.
So, girl time.
Yeah, Lil B retweets. He'll say, "Oh, girl time is happening," and then it'll be girl time, and then this side, and then girls will just post selfies, and then Lil B will retweet those selfies. And I guess it's in the spirit of female body positivity.
Okay.
You know, it's like no matter what, you can, you know, show the world that you're being beautiful.
I love this man.
Yeah.
Oh, Lil B.
Yeah.
He's the bass guy.
And he's feeling the burn.
Interesting. Oh well, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope nothing goes wrong and he doesn't place the base god's curse on him.
On Bernie Sanders.
Because Bernie, like the base god's curse would just kind of annoy Bernie Sanders, but he would just kind of brush past it.
Okay, so I have been cursed by the base god, but I will not let that hamper this campaign.
Oh man, he's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's like your uncle.
Yeah.
You know? I just feel like I'm talking to my uncle who knows what's going on. Like, he's got that sort of wryness about him.
Yeah. My dream team would be Bernie Sanders and Barney Frank. It'd just be Barney Frank. He was a congressman, other old Jewish guy, also gay. So basically, it's like So basically, Bernie and just imagine President and Vice President Bernie and Barney.
Bernie and Barney.
Just Statler and Waldorfing all around DC.
I would be so happy.
That would be my fucking jam.
I would be so happy about that. Man, I watched the debate and I swear, what's his name? Senator Webb just needs to come out with like a Flavor Flav clock on next time, because like that whole debate was like half of his responses were about the time. Every time they cut to him, no matter what, even if they just addressed him, he's like, I hope I get enough time as they got. Like he's just always the podium like, they got 10 minutes of time.
And Lincoln Chafee just looks like he would be played by Kevin Kline.
Yeah.
I like Jim Webb, where basically he just started like giggling about at the very end. It's like, what political enemy are you most proud of? And it's like Jim Webb just kind of smirking about the time he killed a guy in Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I was like, first of all, you're smirking about killing a guy. Second off, you were served in Vietnam and only got into one fight.
Well, maybe that was just the worst one.
Yeah.
It was the boss battle.
That was the boss battle. He doesn't count all the nameless mobs he had to work his way through to get to the end of the dungeon crawl.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, anybody can kill a wraith.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I'm going after... It's like, anybody can kill a wraith. I went after the Viet Cong overlord. I earned so much war XP.
Oh, man.
Leveled up my smithing.
I've never played a game like that. I should.
What, a game where you smith?
Yeah, where you can that's what The Last Witch Hunter is apparently. Is just
smith?
Vin Diesel's Dungeons and Dragons character.
Yes. Like, what the hell? Who the hell gets to do that?
Vin Diesel fucking does.
I just love that trailer. Do you know what I'm afraid of? Nothing.
I just want to see Elijah Wood be an ass-kicking priest.
Yeah, and I just love Vin Diesel. It's like he's clearly afraid of nothing because he just turned his RP into a movie.
Yeah, and I'm kind of
the tie-in video game is just going to be a standard RPG.
And they're gonna have like AI is gonna be advanced enough to the point where they're just gonna have like dedicated Vin Diesel robots so that he's always on your multiplayer team.
Yeah.
Just like you could always play with Vin Diesel.
Just like Vin Diesel is gonna retire from acting so he can play his own video game all day.
Yeah, well, eventually he will, but until then, we've got the androids.
Yeah.
And then you can, like, depending on what you set the difficulty on, his character will, like, if you set it on, like, beginner, his character will basically win the game for you.
Yeah.
And then the harder you get, the more you get to play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And, but better yet, as you set the difficulty, it's Vin Diesel as he advances through his career.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like, if you set the difficulty, so it's like at the very early levels, the Vin Diesel you get is just him doing the voice acting for Iron Giant.
And then the second level is him in Find Me Guilty.
Yeah.
The only movie he did where he wasn't, like, kicking an ass.
Yes, or it was a mob courtroom movie.
Yeah.
And then like, I think mid game you started getting his Fast and Furious self.
Vin Diesel's an interesting dude because, like, I was kind of psyched that he did that movie. I didn't actually see it, but I was like, oh, Vin Diesel's in a movie that's not an action movie. But the more I think about it, it seems like Vin Diesel is a guy who just wants to do action movies.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, because
he just has fun.
It's not like, because a lot of action movies now, like, they'll be like, oh, hey, you very qualitative actor, we're going to put you in this, like, kind of better than normal action movie franchise.
Liam
like,
Neeson.
Yeah, Liam Neeson or Daniel Craig or, like, all these people. And that happens a lot, and, you know, you get the sense that a lot of the action stars now kind of do that to you know, have a little fun, pay the bills, and then get back to, you know, making more enriching films.
Yeah. Except I don't see Liam Neeson doing that. I think he's just doing the action films.
Well, I think he recently said that he, like, when he made Taken 3, he was like, this is the last one, I'm tired of doing these now.
Yeah.
Which I hope is true.
Because, I mean, he's a good dramatic actor.
Yeah, he is. He's really good. And like...
And I could buy him as a good comedic actor, even.
Yeah, totally. He's great in the Lego Movie.
Oh, yeah. Where he's just kind of parodying his action stuff.
Yeah, and then...
But it's also, I don't know, he lost his wife not that long ago. I think he shouldn't keep doing, you know, movies about a guy who has to shoot people to get his family back.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like... yeah. I just hope he, starts doing slightly more quality movies. Because the thing is, like, he gets a pass for all those in a weird way. Because everybody still loves Liam Neeson, it seems like, or at least still appreciates his presence.
Yeah.
So, like, no matter how many
he
Liam
was
Neeson
Qui-Gon
movies,
Jinn.
Yeah, yes, he was. No matter how many Liam Neeson movies he puts out, because it's become a genre, like the Liam Neeson action movie.
Yeah.
And, like, he's put out a bunch of those now, but for some reason, they're all the same. Like, they're all reviewed the same. Everyone's like, this is kind of a rote action thriller. Liam Neeson's great as usual, like, you know. So, yeah, it would be nice to see that talent go back somewhere more constructive. Like, it was nice to see Johnny Depp actually acting again in Black Mass. Was
Black Mass good? Because I heard really mixed stuff.
I mean, every opinion I heard was basically the same opinion, because I didn't actually see it either. But I haven't. Yeah, it's been hard to make it out to the cinema of late. But I heard the movie itself was like all right, and the acting was really good.
Okay.
So everyone was like, Johnny Depp is legit really great in this. The movie itself is okay. Like,
okay.
So you know it's, but you know I was happy to hear that at least that it was like, oh good, like he still got it, you know, because you know, I miss when Johnny Depp would act.
Yeah, and not clown.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because, like, I enjoyed it for a while, and then after a while, I was like,
Yeah, you miss it. Whenever any creative guy whenever any creative gets into that they do the one quirky thing or the one out there thing, and it's fun the first once or twice, and, you know, it gets a lot of buzz or a lot of money or a lot of whatever because it's just kind of this one-off thing.
Yeah.
But then suddenly it just becomes this holding pattern and the studio gets stuck in wanting to repeat that success, and it just becomes so nauseating. And you start getting sad because it's like, you know, this person is way more versatile and can do way more. Like
Mordecai
or you know, Liam Neeson with all the Taken movies, or hell, Tim Burton, man.
Yeah.
When Tim Burton was doing all of his quirky, how is this supposed to be entertaining for a family audience? Like, this Alice in Wonderland or is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's just like, and it's just like suddenly I said Tim Burton's. I said this to somebody. Tim Burton's output, watching Tim Burton's career path throughout the mid 2000s, was like watching your beloved grandparent as in the early stages of Alzheimer's. It's like you see them just kind of not be totally right and just keep on doing things that are like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, because, like, especially when you go back, because, like, I did enjoy some of those movies at the time, at least a bit, but, like, when you go back, you see how sort of alive the old ones feel.
Yeah, like, Pee-wee and Beetlejuice are just so... They're kind of, like, anarchistic. They're kind of punk in that way.
Yeah, exactly. And even as late as Sleepy Hollow, like, I really like Sleepy Hollow. Yeah. And that movie still feels like a genuine film, even though, that's a nice middle ground for me, where it's like, yeah, this is, like, a property. It's a story we've heard before.
And it still feels like it still feels like it's nice and gothic and moody and it's still genuinely scary at times.
Well, yeah, and it seems like he took a story that existed and then expanded it using his palette, and then a lot of the recent ones feel like, they've basically made like a roll of wrapping paper that's Tim Burton themed and sort of wrapped it around something else and just left it there. And
it feels like he phoned it in. And apparently, in some cases, I've heard stories of him literally phoning it in. I heard a story that he was just not... He was literally... he was just not in the room when they were doing, say, Corpse Bride, and he would just, like... No. They would just... The animation studio would just call him up, and he would just, talk to him over the phone. Because he just kind of didn't want to make Corpse Bride.
Why not?
Because, I don't know.
Like, why would you... Like, I can understand why you would not want to make Alice in Wonderland and you would make Alice in Wonderland, but, like, Corpse Bride, I thought that was...
I guess he just kind of got roped into doing Corpse Bride because... I don't know. I think at some point something out of his control just kind of turned into something he didn't want it to be. Or something he just wasn't interested in anymore.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the impression I got from hearing that story.
I'm interested as to what it would have been in its original state.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I remember Corpse Bride just kind of ends abruptly.
Yeah.
Like, the movie doesn't want to be there anymore.
The movie's like,
It's like, here, I'm out, I'm gone.
I don't know.
Later.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only saw that movie the once in the theaters, and I remember not being super enthralled.
Yeah, it just was missing something. And I was looking into Corpse Bride and being like, this could be fun. It's got the jankiness of it, and it's got the whimsy, and it's still got the kind of gallows humor. And then it just kind of wasn't totally there.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm almost curious to revisit it now.
And I'm wondering, it's like, because I really want to see Book of Life still. I can stomach just the sheer density of all that images.
Yeah.
But it feels like Book of Life, I heard nothing but good things about Book of Life and how fun it was, and it feels like that is the movie I wanted out of Corpse Bride.
Oh, that's cool.
Kind of vibrant and still grim and funny and, whatever.
Still got an edge, but also has a personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. I'm curious about that movie too because I heard it was all right.
Yeah.
And they said they wanted to maintain a lot of the sort of vibrancy and imagination that this is more of like a technical thing, but they said like a lot of animation starts out being much cooler in the the previs stuff and in the designs, and then it loses some of that when they actually build the world in the computer.
I feel like that's almost kind of like the blessing and the curse of animation because you can do literally anything.
Yeah.
There is no limit to what you can show in an animated film outside of, marketing constraints. And so it's like the job from going from the concept of an animated film to, pinning down a final story or a final product, it's like your work is not about expanding. Your work is always about limiting.
Mm-hmm.
And, like say with a live action movie, you can do expansive work while you're figuring it out because you're going to start with a more finite concept and a more finite conceptual angle you're coming in from. Sure. And then the idea becomes, all right, how do we pin this down? Whereas in an animated film, it's like, all right, how about this world where there's this and we can do whatever we want? Okay, now we got to take this entire world, this universe, and turn it into a singular unidirectional story.
We have to take endless possibility and make a framework out of that.
Yeah, because, say Inside Out. The story is, it's about the inside of a girl's brain, and there's, her emotions are personified as these feelings that guide her behavior in complex ways. Okay, now how do we gotta turn that into a story. What if sadness loses the memory ball?
That would be trap as hell! That would be rad. Well, that was a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool. Speaking of movies and the difficulty of getting out to the cinema, I think the last movie I saw in a theater was The Martian.
The Martian! I saw The Martian as well.
Thoughts?
Oh man, I love The Martian. That was an accidental trap horn there, son. And that one actually caught me off guard. No, I love The Martian. I had a really good time with The Martian. That might be my favorite of the 3 sort of recent space odyssey movies. Just because, I feel like they each represent a different side of that genre, which is cool, because, Gravity is the very visceral, very immediate version, and then Interstellar is the very romanticized, the very sort of reaching above and beyond the clouds, that sort of thing. And The Martian is just the most human one. Yeah. And it feels really well rounded in that respect. And
I think The Martian has finally given me the idea of okay, now I know what Drew Goddard's voice is like. Because I've never seen any of his TV stuff. I just know The Cabin in the Woods, which I liked, and now I see a lot of the same stuff in The Martian, where it's very plucky and everybody's very affable and very human. It's just I don't know. I feel like Drew Goddard. If I met Drew Goddard on the street, he would be like that little kid who's the scout troop leader that's just got this can-do attitude about everything.
Yeah, I get that sense. A lot. I mean, it's very apparent in Cloverfield.
Yeah. That's right. He was He did Cloverfield.
At least, I think he wrote it. I don't know what a script for that movie would have looked like, and T.J. Miller. Yeah. But yeah, no, I really liked the way he translated that to the screen, and I thought, the way Ridley Scott directed it.
It's weird because it's I heard The Martian by Ridley Scott, and I was expecting something that was full of gravitas and very dense and maybe even a bit existentialist, but no, it's it's a very plucky kind of fun little ride, and yeah, things get hard, but still it's got that affable pluckiness to it. I do think what's important is that I saw some guys I know on Facebook talking about The Martian, and these are 2 just normal dudes. They're not the kind of guys that are they're not the kind of guys that are very hoity-toity about anything, but they were talking about I love that The Martian didn't have some existentialist crisis. It was just about and we need movies like this, not all these sad, trapped and alone movies to inspire our kids to go out into space. And I thought, that's cool and all, but you're not going to solve... when you really think about the problems on the world and how to kind of think of, a utopian view of how to fix the planet Earth, a lot of the problems are not a lot of the solutions are going to come from not space. Space is cool, but let's get real. Space doesn't really want us there.
Yeah, space hasn't really proven itself overly hospitable over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, we just got psyched that, hey, there's water here.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot else that we can use.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but the thing is, functionally speaking, space is awesome, and I'm glad that... And science is very important, but not every answer to every problem on planet Earth is going to come from, let's go to space.
Yeah.
Because... functionally speaking, we don't really have a reason to put people on Mars.
Yeah, not really. And also, I mean, all of those solutions take a great many years.
A very long time and a lot of money.
And a lot of those years are spent just kind of waiting for one thing to get to point B.
And I think somebody pointed out, somebody said, The Martian is great, but let's take a minute and realize billions of dollars were spent to rescue one man. And that's billions of dollars that were not spent on rescuing a bunch of people still on Earth.
True, yeah.
Or, a bunch of people whose lives could have been saved or improved. Or just, pulled out of, horrible, horrible situations. The United States and China amassed billions of dollars to rescue Mark Watney from Mars. But I'm these are two countries that have, like, a lot of really bad living conditions in a lot of neighborhoods.
This is the truth. Well, that recontextualizes a few things.
So I'm just thinking, yeah, I mean, yes, it's awesome to see a movie where it's like one man can just science his way to victory, and that's a cool message to put out there in the world. But
hey, it made growing potatoes and the science behind that look cool.
Yeah, and you do feel so sad when it's all that work and all those potatoes get fucked.
Yeah, dude.
But let's not forget.
Well, that when that moment happens, like, it really catches you off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, I enjoy when impacts like that are actually like. Sorry, it's the Halloween event in The Simpsons tapped out, and I am a fiend. But it's it's just a stylistic side note.
Yeah.
Because you see so many space movies where it's like, oh yeah, stuff's gonna explode, and this one was like, it's so kind of quiet and day by day that when something actually explodes, you're like, oh shit!
Yeah.
No! Like,
it's so much of his life on Mars is just frustration and boredom, but somehow he makes that frustration and boredom look kind of hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a product. It's a very modern product. Like, it's one of the most seamless integrations of like a modern thing in a movie, because like, of course, like, recording yourself is more commonplace, and recording yourself would probably help keep you sane.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a great device to, make it so you see into the brain and you get some expression of a guy who is literally alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving him the video diary really works.
Mm-hmm. And that ketchup.
The ketchup. I am all out of ketchup. And when you see Matt Damon after X number of days and he has been living off of just like rationed potato slices and he looks emaciated and raggedy, that's some shit.
Yeah. Ooh. And I was like, it was just about the time when I was thinking to myself, like, shouldn't he have lost a lot of weight by... Oh.
Yeah, I was having that too. I was like, shouldn't he have lost like a shit ton of weight by... Oh, God.
Oh, he has. We just skipped ahead a few souls.
Yeah.
And there they go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if anyone wants to go on a crash diet, just strain yourself on Mars with some potatoes.
Strain yourself on, yeah.
I wonder, because it's like...
On the Watney diet.
On the Watney diet. I wonder if like this Soylent thing is actually going to end up being astronaut food.
Well, I mean, if it's proven effective without any adverse side effects.
Apparently the heavy metal content is a little high, but no higher than just like your average fish diet.
So is it super brutal?
It's super brutal. It's just got all these fucking fatty riffs, dude.
It's just got shards of Slayer CDs in it. Which I listened to a little Slayer the other day because I don't really listen to Slayer.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, like, I just felt like I was getting yelled at by my uncle or something like that. Like, not my uncle, but just like...
So...
Just like an uncle who would yell at you.
You've likened so many things to uncles right now. I'm just imagining, so it's like...
It's the uncle show.
So it's like Bernie Sanders on the CD?
No, I mean, he's just my other uncle.
Okay.
He's just a different uncle. I mean, I don't know, maybe Bernie might get down with some Slayer. Nothing against Slayer, but I was just like listening to it and I was like, this sounds like my uncle who has an opinion I didn't ask to hear is yelling at me. Just something about it, and it's got nothing to do with the lyrical content. It's just like the way... What's his name? Tom Araya. The way that guy sings or barks.
Hollers.
No, but yeah, I saw The Martian. Which I very much enjoyed.
Yeah. One thing I will say, The Martian at times, and maybe this is just because it's Drew Goddard, and I felt this with Cabin in the Woods too. Drew Goddard sometimes writes features where they kind of feel like TV, and that's in good ways and in ways that are kind of awkward.
I mean, he's written a lot of TV.
Oh yeah, like no doubt, like that's where he started, and he was in TV for so long.
Yeah.
But I've noticed it's like sometimes with the way in which characters interact with each other, it feels very TV-ish, and maybe that's just because everyone on TV is trying to do the Drew Goddard, Joss Whedon-y voice because that's proven popular and resonant with people.
You mean like making everybody sort of esoteric?
Kind of esoteric, and just like there's this sheer density of character voice that's got this. I don't know how to describe it, but it's very specific. It's a very specific kind of character.
Slightly
quippy kind of character voice. It's like a more.
Short.
It's like if Aaron Sorkin characters hung out at the comic book shop.
Yeah, a little bit. What is it? Project. The Rivendell thing.
Oh, what?
When it was Project Elrond or whatever they call it.
Oh yeah.
And they had the whole Lord of the Rings nerd moment.
Yes, that's right.
But I really
I liked Donald Glover's supporting role as, almost like a more pathological and more realistic and less, goofy Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like Donald Glover was the gritty, realistic Sheldon Cooper in The Martian.
Yeah, exactly. And I really I enjoyed that moment because, it was nice. I liked the way they cast this movie because, it seems like something out of an older time, maybe, that they would cast, they would have the presence of mind to go, let's reach into this, sort of comedy world and grab a couple people too, and sort of broaden out the range of just types of actors they had. So it's like Kristen Wiig made a lot of sense in that, in the sort of PR person role.
Yeah. And
Donald Glover made a lot of sense to play this sort of, Aspergery scientist.
Yeah. Who played the, I can't remember his name, but the big guy who was at the Jet Propulsion Lab? Yeah. I know I've seen him and stuff before. Hold on. What I did like is that, not as much as in the real life science world, but more so than most Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
It did a commendable job of doing the diversity casting to more realistically approach the fact that, yes, there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
It's very international.
Yeah, it's a very international thing, and it's a very multicultural thing, the science field. Granted, there are spaces that, still have kind of a boys' club culture or a predominantly affluent white kid culture, but it's like, the science world, you do see a lot of, people of color in there.
Yeah. When you have, so that was Benedict Wong, who's been in a lot of things. He was in Prometheus, he was in Moon,
that's
he was in Sunshine. He does a lot of space movies.
He's the space guy.
He's the space guy.
Benedict Wong, professional space guy.
Yeah.
Also actor.
He's in Kick-Ass 2. He's got a lot of credits to his name. He was in the second Johnny English movie.
Well, if you're going to be in a Johnny English movie.
Oh, yeah. This is better be the second one. But yeah, it was nice to, Chiwetel Ejiofor I thought was great.
Yes.
And then they had, who was I was like Sean Bean. Is that, I think that's his real accent for once.
Yeah.
They just let Sean Bean be Sean Bean in a role, and it was great.
It's too bad he got fired.
Yeah, they didn't kill him though.
They didn't kill him. They just fired him.
They didn't kill him. They didn't fire him, but they didn't kill him. Sorry,
his career is dead.
His career is dead, but hey, he was doing some shit at the end.
Yeah.
He had a second life.
I will say, to go further on the point of the movie had kind of a TV-ish thing going on. The frequency in which they referenced the running gag about the disco music, they did that so often. I feel like this joke is being way too densely seeded. Not to a point where it's destroying the movie, but I'm like, you didn't because the joke about somebody liking disco, it's kind of dated.
Yeah.
Because it's like no, there was a period of disco is everywhere. Then it's disco is totally gone, but there are people who still like it. So what are you doing still liking disco? It's over. It's not going to come back. And now it's disco, what is that?
But it's the only choice that makes any sense because if they made it heavy metal or gangster rap or EDM, it would be 2 in your face and 2 now. And then if it's classic rock or even jazz, people are going to be like, but it's not crappy though. Like, it's like disco seems to be the thing where it's like it's benign enough not to be too distracting, but it's also like, generally people are down on disco.
Yeah, but it's also, I mean, to me, it's like nobody even remembers disco enough to be down on it. The only people who like disco are people who like...
Who throw discus.
Yeah, the only people who... Like, to me, it's like there's nobody that's, like, just praying for disco to come back. There are people who have, like, kind of rediscovered disco when it was before their time. Like,
disco stew?
Like, there was, like, a handful of ABBA, and, it's like, my girlfriend likes ABBA, and she's not, she was not alive when ABBA was active.
ABBA could... No, I'm not going to make a joke. And bless you.
Thank you. ABBA and Costella.
ABBA and Zabba. And I've never had an Zabba.
Really?
Nope.
It is a...
No, I have. I tried one. Because I hadn't.
It is a candy bar you have to fight with.
You gotta really make sure you want an ABBA Zabba.
Because that taffy, man, is dense.
Shake that Laffy Taffy.
Yes.
Taffeta. What is Taffeta?
Taffeta was one of the Mean Girl candy, or not Candy Crush, Sugar Rush writers in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh man. Yeah. So just been watching spooky flicks ever since.
I want to see Goodnight Mommy.
I do too. I want to see Goodnight Mommy.
That looks so beautifully creepy. Like that looks like it will fuck my shit up.
Oh yeah. Oh, tote bags. I'm excited to see it. I hope it's still in the theaters. I think it was somewhere nearby not long ago. So,
okay.
I saw Goosebumps and I saw Crimson Peak.
How was Crimson Peak?
Crimson Peak is really good. I think. A lot of people are taken aback by the fact that it's not like a traditional horror movie.
That's fine with me.
So there's been a lot of complaining, but if you go in knowing it's like full on gothic romance.
That's so weird to me because the trailer makes it look horror as hell.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And I think that's part of the backlash, the fact that it's being promoted as being way more horror than it is.
Oh, totally. Like, I wish they had changed the ad campaign. Because it was like, I got in, and, the movie started to unfold, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, this isn't something we see very often. And I mean, we had Jane Eyre a few years ago, but this is like... if you took that level of gothic to the next level and actually put some of those crazy designs in and stuff.
And Guillermo del Toro is the go-to guy for crazy-ass designs.
Yeah, and so the trailer screws with your expectations in a very specific way. So, oh shit!
Erica's in the booth bringing crafty.
That's right.
Bringing that cheese and apps.
Apple and cheese platter from the late on its way out, fresh and easy.
Bringing the goods.
Must not have been that fresh or easy.
I love Fresh and Easy, and they're all closing down all their stores. And my fucking life is over.
Hey, man. You had a good run.
I did.
I'm gonna burn you and put you on my mantle.
For several years, Fresh and Easy was like 90% of my grocery shopping.
Man, I enjoyed the Crimson Peak. I did. I mean, there are some, there are some things perhaps in the way the story unfolds that are not as engaging as I hope they would be, but like I think all the actors are really good at what they're doing, and I'm not gonna say too much, but there's certain characters that are easy to get wrong as an actor, and I think they avoided that. The designs are beautiful. It's just nothing is as in your face or as like frequent as the trailer makes it out to seem.
Okay.
The trailer makes it out to like a haunted house, like a carnival haunted house, where it's just like, wow, shit's happening everywhere in this big old house. Still chilling, still ghost story, but it makes it seem like it's going to be a very aggressive movie, and it's not. It's very different from that.
It's interesting because Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, they are doing a Crimson Peak maze, which I went through.
Was it good?
Apparently I went through at a time when most of the scares and most of the actors had their timing right, and I knew somebody else that went through and didn't like it because the timing was wrong.
Okay.
And I went through and I was like, okay, I can see the gaps. I saw maybe one gap where there's a scare here that isn't triggering for me. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I really liked it. And it was, like Horror Nights does their mazes. They're very aggressive. There's something coming out with the loud noise and a bang and in your face everywhere. And they get a lot of mileage out of just like having this one character in every room.
Okay. Well, see, that's the thing I appreciated about having Crimson Peak there, especially in hindsight, after seeing the movie, was like, you're going to have a little bit of variety. It seems like you're going to have something that's a little more creepy and there's a little more room to breathe everywhere, which is, you know, if you look at a Horror Nights maze, there are a lot of twists and turns and a lot of things to pop out and a lot of... They're very loud.
No.
The soundtrack.
I think there's actually one room in the Crimson Peak maze where it's like it's a double hallway.
Interesting.
Which I've never seen in a Horror Nights maze before.
Okay.
I remember one thing that was weird for me was I think last year they did the From Dusk Till Dawn maze, and some of the rooms were really big and a lot of the actors were pretty short.
Yeah, that was the weird thing about that maze looking back, is like there were a lot of very big rooms and just not sort of enough to fill them, or the scares weren't like directionally.
Yeah, so it's like I remember
Right.
going through that maze and feeling like I'm supposed to be scared, but there's like a 5'4" dude across the room from me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we had to work with that. But yeah, I've heard from like this. That seems like the thing this year is I haven't heard. It seems like across the board from what all the reviews are sort of saying, and from all the people I know who have seen them night after night, it seems like the weak links aren't that weak.
okay.
You know, because I was surprised. You know, I thought people were going to really dog on Crimson Peak because it's not the same kind of thing. And a lot of people were like, "No, it's really cool. It's great inside. Like, you know, I really like it."
And I mean, you know, it's like even if the movie has got a different vibe, the maze is still the mechanism for scaring. The mechanism for scaring is the same.
So I'm very excited to see that. But you know, I saw the film and I was like, "Yeah, this is kind of weird because it's very story driven. It's not creature driven."
Yeah.
So, you know, how would this lend itself? But, you know, I think the designs are gorgeous. Like, and it seems like they really put their money on the screen because there are giant cavernous rooms that look like giant cavernous rooms for real. And, you know, the acting is all really good. You know, it's a traditional gothic romantic story, you know, with some Del Toro thrown in. And, it made me happy.
Well, hot chip.
And actually, that was nice because having that in Goosebumps on the same weekend, like, from a financial standpoint, it kind of bums me out because Crimson Peak didn't make very much.
Because Goosebumps is, you know, for kids and it's more accessible.
Yeah. But, it was cool to have those two sides of the coin because, like, Goosebumps, for me, was like, oh, you know, I feel like a kid again. This is so much fun. This is like Monster Squad or Fright Night, you know, but with a little bit of that sort of modern self-awareness thrown in. And I'm having a great time, and Jack Black is Orson Welles, and this is awesome.
And Jack Black is Orson Welles.
He's basically Orson Welles.
Well, that's the way an R.L. Stine fictionalized version should be played.
He should be played. And it's awesome. And then it's like you have this thing that's for your inner child that's like a lot of fun, and then you have this other thing that's for your inner adult that's, you know, very...
Your inner adult.
Yeah. You know, because in society now we say fuck the inner adult, but hey, you know, the inner adult needs a little enriching too. Because let's face it, we're all adolescents forever.
I like, I heard a therapist actually describe this to me, and this is apparently a common kind of compartmentalization of how to think of oneself as the child, the wounded child, the critical adult, and the nurturing, the wounded child, critical parent, and nurturing adult. Those are the three parts of a human being.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or
rather, yeah, so it's like, or, you know, like the vulnerable child. Everyone's got the part of themselves that's, you know, got that holds kind of like their neuroses or their kind of stale old, you know, past traumas. And then they got the kind of scolding voice, and then they got this kind of self-healing, nurturing voice. And they kind of have an age balance to them.
Okay. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
But I think if I was some kind of psychology man, I would invent a fourth, which is the DGAF teenager.
DGAF teen.
Yeah. There's like, we all have that teenager inside of us that's like, oh, I'll just fuck this. I'm going to go play laser tag.
I'm just gonna go to the mall with my friends.
Mom, go to the mall with my friends. Shut up.
Shut up, Mom.
Mom, bring me a pizza roll.
Nah, dude, I got my own pizza roll.
I'm an adult. I get my own fucking Totino's.
I don't know if I've ever had a Totino's pizza roll.
Have you had other kinds of pizza rolls?
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Have you ever taken an entire pizza, just rolled it up into a tube and just eaten that?
No, I have a friend.
Because I haven't.
A friend of mine tried to smoke a taquito once.
Was this that one roommate?
No, it wasn't my roommate. This was like at the very end of high school.
Okay.
We were at my my first girlfriend's house, and I don't know why, we just like, hey, you should try to smoke that taquito. And he agreed to.
Did you smoke something else before trying to smoke the taquito?
No, not at all. I mean, this was like, the parents were home. Like, it was one of those. It was like, we were all in the backyard, and there was like the honor system of like, we're not going to get into too much trouble, but we're allowed to kind of be off the radar. And he tried to smoke that taquito. There was... It's just like you're sitting across from somebody who's sucking on a tube filled with meat, and just that sound is just like like that sucking really hard through some kind of passageway that is obstructed sound, you know. So you just any second you're waiting for all the meat to just like shoot into his throat, and it didn't, but it produced a very awful smell, and
oh my god,
and he didn't successfully really get any smoke out of it, so. Failed experiment.
I saw this Vine of these two white guys, and one of them was smoking a joint to the camera. And his eyes go really wide, and he's like deliberately doing this. And you hear the guy holding behind the camera go, "Take it!" And as he's hitting this joint, he opens his mouth and swallows the entire joint. And you see the little red light of the cherry just kind of light up his mouth and then disappear. And he just stares at the camera because he did that deliberately. And then some other people, some normal-looking tourists, are walking by and they're saying, "Hey, do you guys know where the..." And the guy who just said, "Take it," steps in and interrupts them and says, He just swallowed a fucking roach, dog." This fucking this like skinny white dude with like a big baggy sweater and a baseball cap. So it's like, you see these tourists like, "Hey, do you guys know where He just swallowed a fucking roach, dog."
I just love that when you stop whatever anybody else's day is as though they're supposed to like give credence to your day.
Yes.
It's like, you're asking for directions right now? Do you realize what just happened here? Like, this not very big monumental event just took place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by Vine culture. Not Vine star culture, but Vine culture on the boots on the ground level, where just these memes are born.
Yeah. Well, that's where everything happens. You know?
Yeah.
That's where the true.
And what's crazy to me is just like how fast Vine memes come and go. This week it's all Hotline Bling. Next week it won't be.
What is Hotline Bling?
It's the new Drake video.
Oh. What happens in it?
He just dances really fucking weird.
Everybody like that's a new like option now. It's like, oh, what kind of music video? You just do one where the guy's dancing weird.
He's just dancing weird in these colored cubicle backgrounds.
Yeah, that works.
And now the new thing is just like syncing other music up to it, or dressing other things up as Drake and having them dance similarly.
What is his dance? Is it weird?
It's very weird.
Does it work, or is it like weird?
It works in the video as far as I can tell, but it's still very weird.
P weird, bro. P weird.
And also people are photoshopping things so his hand movements look like he's doing things.
Like what?
Okay, here he is playing tennis. Here's another bit of his... And a kid emulating his weird dance. Sticking Drake dancing in other scenarios.
I very much enjoyed when Shia LaBeouf appeared on that man's balcony.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Drake in that video is looking like Oscar Isaac in Ex Machina.
I know, I was just
and the
thinking
colored
that.
background, I just feel like I want somebody to kind of combine them some way.
This is your calling.
Yeah.
This is your contribution.
Have
movement.
Nathan Nathan in that red ass spooky room cutting a rug and having it be.
Cutting a disco ass rug.
Yeah. I'm gonna tear up the fucking dance floor, dude.
Nathan, man.
Fucking Nathan.
We did like 6 episodes about Ex Machina.
Have we? It all comes back to Ex Machina or the Babadook.
Really, all of these episodes have been about Ex Machina and the Babadook.
For the folks at home, Jerry and I have this same conversation about the Watchmen movie that we have every so often. And we've had this exact same conversation, I think, like 3 or 4 times now over the course of the years since that movie came out.
Oh, I like Watchmen. It's alright. Are we about to have it again, or what was the conversation?
I was going to say, as time has gone on, I think I've grown more and more skeptical and kind of like, about the movie.
Oh. I mean, I enjoyed the experience of watching it. I didn't, like, love it to begin with. But
I feel like there's a lot of the same stuff happens in the movie as in the book. A lot of the same things are there.
But the reasoning doesn't seem to be entirely sound.
Yeah, it's like the mindset is so different.
Well, that was the thing about that movie.
The brain
like,
zone is different. It's, the book is subtle and kind of melancholy, and the movie is kind of faux brooding, but still kind of reveling in the cool stuff.
Well, yeah, I don't know. There was something about that movie where, like, I always felt like Zack Snyder really loved this. Like, he was really into it. Like, he was really jazzed to do it. Except I don't fully think he got the deeper implications of the book.
Yeah, I feel like... I guess it's almost like... when you think about it, there are things like... There's so many things in pop culture where it's like a cult fandom forms around something, but the cult fandom doesn't actually understand what's the message being baked into that thing. Like, I think Fight Club is the clearest example of that.
Got fight, bro.
Got fight.
Got fight, bro. It's like so manly.
Yeah, it's like... Exactly, like, Fight Club...
Fight Club with my friends, because we're men.
Yeah.
Men.
Exactly. It's like, teenage guys and, like, want to be, or not want to be, like, MRAs or whatever. They all fucking love Fight Club. I'm like, no. Fight Club is... The whole point of Fight Club and the whole act about Project Mayhem is like, no, this frustrated anger that's making you want to build Fight Club, it's not the solution to the problem of being alienated and dehumanized by corporatism. It's just another byproduct. Fight Club is just another... You recreating the same corporate consumerist bullshit that's making you feel alienated. It's just you rebuilding it, but with you on top, so you feel like it's better. Or Project Mayhem. No, it's the same bullshit, but with you on top, so, it makes you feel better. In reality, what you have to do is ditch all of it, including how you think about it. That's why, at the end of... I mean, you've seen it.
Than me. Sorry, that was me.
Sorry.
Homer
has
Homero.
finished. He's finished having fun with cameras, which means I win gummies, which means I might be able to get that... what do they call their Cthulhu? There's a Cthulhu.
There's a Cthulhu in The Simpsons now?
Yeah, well, in this Halloween event, anyway.
Oh, wow.
They call him Monster.
Monster.
It's like M''NSTHER or something
That's
like
brilliant.
that. Yeah. This one's got a very low...
I saw something insane. Morph Suits, the people that make the full-body spandex jumpsuit Halloween costumes.
I'm aware.
Okay, they have a Slender Man one, of course.
For real.
They have a Zalgo one.
Zalgo?
And Zalgo is super obscure. Zalgo is just like this meme that started because people started photoshopping like Garfield comics to have this like, scary tentacle monster god just appear at the end of Garfield comics.
I'm so happy.
And Zalgo is now a morph suit. You can buy a $50-$60 Zalgo morph suit.
I am going to look up Zalgo right now. How do I spell this?
Zalgo.
Zalgo.
Have you've seen Fight Club by now, right?
Nope.
What?
I just know how it ends.
Oh.
Well, I just know the twist. Not necessarily how it ends, but...
I'd say the movie's worth watching, but it's like... I think it's especially worth watching because of the conversation around it, because it's become this banner for guys saying, the modern world is too girly, and I want to be men and punch things. I'm like, no. The modern world stuff that's making you feel bad includes this thing that you want to go punch stuff to feel good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a... Because the idea that that's what you would do when angry is sort of ingrained from the source.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there are things in Fight Club that are actually kind of if I'm allowed to spoil the ending, there are things at the end of Fight Club that actually really point to this. Like the fact that Ed Norton beats Tyler Durden by sucking a gun barrel and shooting it into his mouth.
Oh.
He gets rid of Tyler Durden by, like, going through he performs the anti-manly action, which is, committing a sort of this kind of performative suicide, and doing it in a way that's kind of, in a way, submissive. So it's like, Ed Norton, by sucking on the gun barrel and blowing it off in his mouth, he has to, kind of admit, I am so mentally distraught, I am so emotionally broken that I am going to possibly kill myself. Because, it's like, if your mindset of like, oh, I need to feel like a man, if your brain space is, I need to feel like a man again, you're not going to commit suicide because, that's what weak guys do. I don't want to be a pussy. Pussies have feelings that get hurt and have depression and suicidal tendencies. It's like, Ed Norton, the movie's basically saying, Ed Norton is better off going to those support groups at the beginning and crying in another guy's arms, because that's what he needs more than he just needs to get over feeling like he has to go compartmentalize his sensitivity and his not traditionally manly shit in some secret zone. So it's like he has to do the mock suicide to actually go through the action of, this is me being weak, and this is me being sensitive, and this is me being frail and human, and etc. And he also has to go through the action of taking a phallic object into his mouth and having it go off. He is basically, he's going through the ceremony of, this is me doing what you're not supposed to do if you're obsessed with being manly. You're sucking a dick and being sad. Which are like, you're not allowed to suck a dick and be sad if you're a man. And so it's like,
anti-manly.
Yeah.
Suck a dick, be sad.
Yeah, those are like the two unacceptable things if you're obsessed with being quote-unquote manly. And Ed Norton does those things, and by doing those things, he exorcises Tyler Durden out of his mouth, and he survives. He's afraid that if he sucks a dick and be sad, then his life will collapse around him, where instead, he sucks a dick and be sad, he literally slays his demons in his brain.
That's some heavy shit.
So it's like Fight Club,
man.
the movie, has become this lightning rod for everybody who's, insecure about their masculinity and needs to feel masculine in the modern world, when in reality, the movie is saying, nah, dude, just suck a dick and be sad and you'll be fine.
Just embrace your non-masculine shit.
Because the masculine shit is kind of garbage. That's why, once he sucks a dick and be sad, he's able to hold hands with Marla and have a good, positive, functioning relationship with a woman, while a bunch of phallic buildings collapse around them. It's the death of toxic masculinity. It's like all this
so much dick.
Yeah, all this like dick waving is just going away.
Every time somebody says dick waving, I just imagine just like a weird forest of dicks.
It's
like a cartoon
in the
forest
breeze.
of just swaying dicks.
When I hear dick waving, I imagine two guys like across the room like waving at each other like, hey man, except their entire forearms are dicks. Just kind of flopping. Hey dude!
Oh man. Sorry, I thought you were going to say dick wave as like, when I hear dick waving, I just think of just like a, new genre of music.
Yeah, I'm really into dick wave.
I'm really into dick wave right now. Just a lot of sad music.
Yeah.
Really into dick wave.
That's fine. It's like I remember hearing that like Paul Thomas Anderson said that Fight Club was a socially irresponsible movie when it first came out. And it's actually kind of true because, the movie did become this, it's like in the same lump as like the Boondock Saints. It's the fan favorite movie of dudes who are like closeted proto-fascists.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the world would be so much better if I was just allowed to go out and do violent shit and other people weren't.
Yeah.
The world would be so much better if people who weren't like me just stopped like being around and I could just like do fights.
Does the Boondock Saints have a...
Oh, the Boondock Saints is just like all pro-religious, like religious fervent vigilantism.
Oh.
Boondock Saints is, oh no, the neighborhood has crime. You know what'll solve crime? Two crazy-ass Catholic white brothers with guns.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm sorry, so it's like...
And Willem Dafoe!
And Willem Dafoe is the bad guy, and Willem Dafoe is a you know...
Oh, he's gay.
Or he's a cross-dresser. It's like the movie doesn't even decide. It's just like, whatever he is, he's not straight, and therefore he's the bad guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
He's just like coded, you know, he's like not straight manly man with guns, so he's Batman.
Damn you, Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Patrick Bateman.
What happened to Sean Patrick Flannery? He used to be Powder.
He was in the Devil's Carnival.
Is he?
First one, yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Oh my god!
Yeah, is he?
Oh
my god! Oh, what are we gonna do?
This episode of Dank Ass Stubs is brought to you by Nondescript Mouse Character.
Nondescript mouse character, always on the wackiest adventures.
He's my favorite.
He's got friends.
So, it's Halloween time.
Yeah.
That means spooks.
Spooks,
And-
haunted ghosts,
And a goblin, maybe?
maybe a goblin at your front door,
Yeah.
and
Haunts.
haunts, haunted hooses.
A haunted house. You're doing the last index of Alone tonight.
Gonna go check out the Alone. That's
Yeah.
right.
We're gonna have to record a post game of that.
We are gonna have to do a post game show. I haven't seen as many haunts as I would have liked to this year, but I'm very happy I'm gonna get to do that one.
What have you done?
Knots. Been to Knots.
Okay, how was Knots?
Knots is fun, man. I feel like Knots. You have of the sort of theme park haunts. You have Universal. You have Knots, and you have. I kind of count Queen Mary in there because they have 6 mazes.
The
and shows.
Dark Harbor.
Yeah, and then Fright Fest at Six Flags, and I haven't gotten to go to Fright Fest. And I heard it was really good last year, but
Yeah, I heard really good things about Fright Fest last year, and I heard like people who were working Universal being like sad that Fright Fest was so good.
yeah, well, it's it's that thing where at least for years it seemed like the feedback was, that Six Flags was always trailing. It's always like the mazes are kind of rickety and it's not that great of an event. But yeah, I don't know. Last year people seemed to think it was great, so I haven't seen that one. But all these sort of theme park haunts have a different vibe, and it's like Universal has a very aggressive, very well-oiled machine. Like everyone's ferocious, and the show resets every 10 seconds and all that stuff. Knott's is more like Carnival Funhouse, where it's like it's more laid back, it's more rough around the edges, but it's always fun.
Okay.
And they have cool concepts because all their mazes, at least this year, I think, are like original.
Yeah, none of them are licensed properties.
Yeah, so
Universal Studios soon to become the wonderful world of licensed properties, because there's not a single like Universal property that's being really, repped at that theme park anymore.
Yeah, which is strange. I mean, it would be, and some of the other Universal parks like across the country have Universal like they still have Back to the Future. They still have There's a Jaws ride. They have stuff. But yeah, Universal has their vibe and the Knott's has their vibe. And we had a lot of fun at Knott's, and their big production value maze was really good.
Okay.
Paranormal Inc. is Paranormal Inc. is what that one's called, and it's sort of like they split you off on 2 tracks. There are, there's like a big room you all start in where everyone's in this room, and they do sort of the setup to the ghost story, and then you're divided up and sent on 2 different tracks. And
I do like that. I mean, it's like with Horror Nights, it is just kind of an assembly line to go through their mazes. I would love to go through a haunt where it is structured in that way. Yeah, and
so that was cool and creative, and then just they added a lot of like screens with things and, effects and lighting. And it's just, the set design and the costumes and everything was a little more, it was, a bigger production value than you're usually used to seeing over there. And their Voodoo Maze, their sort of like Louisiana Bayou Maze, is really gorgeous to look at.
Okay.
And then I always they have a maze called Trick or Treat where it's not the movie, but it's all sort of like a Halloween night and kids in costumes, and like that's sort of the aesthetic, and there's like a witch villain. So I've always really enjoyed that. But yeah, and their hanging show was a lot of fun. Like they was surprisingly just taking jabs. Like I wasn't expecting it to aim for such like subversive humor. At least like politically subversive humor. But they did, and it was actually a pretty fun show. So that was surprisingly nice. So Knott's was a good time, and then we did Queen Mary, and Queen Mary is just fucking great.
Okay.
Queen Mary's awesome. And I mean, like, their mazes are very long, and they have sort of a different approach to me, because Queen Mary, like, they don't drown their mazes in sound. So there will be soundtrack, there will be sound effects, but, you know, usually it's sparse so you can still sort of feel and hear the room. Which makes things sort of more disconcerting, especially because the hallways are sort of narrow, and then at random you'll come into like wider rooms with more shadows, and the lighting is very sparse, and they can hide a lot of things with just a well-placed light and all the other shadows. So like, I always get scared the most over there. Like, people can jump out and, you know, make me jump, you know, the most over there. So the Queen Mary's great, and like all the mazes on the ship were really good. We missed one on the dock, but, you know, their dock mazes were good. And the one was returning, it was sort of like a sunken ship military thing, was better this year.
Okay.
And then they have, like, carnival sideshow attractions, and they have Michael Jackson's swing set. The big, giant, like, whirly-twirly swings, like carnival-style swings, they have over there. And they have, like, food and shows and stuff around. So Queen Mary is wicked awesome, and then
I will have to check that out.
Yeah, Queen Mary's great, very very highly recommended. And then and there were lots of familiar faces out there the night we went, because it was not a conflict night. So yeah, but there, especially the ship mazes, man. Like the ship itself just has instant production value because it's a real ship, at least, and you know it's supposedly haunted, so like it has a vibe when you go in. And there's one maze that goes through, like, there's a big open room with, like, a pool in it. In the ship, yeah, which is beautiful. Like, and it really does feel old and sort of breathtaking. There's one maze where you go across a bridge. You just kind of round a corner onto a bridge, and you're in the hull. And it's just, like, it's so huge around you. And they had just, like, one body hung on the one side, you know, sort of with its arms splayed, like, hung on wires. With like a red light, and then occasionally sparks would rain on it. And it was just like all they needed was that one prop and all this space and shadow, and it's breathtaking. And it's just, you know, it's because of that aura, you know, the ship has, like, it's super terrifying. It's great.
No, I can imagine just the nature of having like an old period, like, you know, ocean liner that gives so much to what they can do with that. Like, you know, you go to Universal and their mazes are all pop up, and they're all using like prefab backdrops that they have to build.
Yeah, well, and I mean that's the bummer. That's the bummer for Hollywood, I think, because I think some of these places can build for longer.
Yeah, because, you know, Universal has to be able to still work with just regular park hours, and
yeah,
I like that. I like when people are able to just use a space so well. Mm-hmm. I went to. This is not like some high production haunt, but last night I went to Burbank's annual, like, haunted ghost train thing that they do up in Griffith Park.
Oh, how was that?
It's cute. It's really adorable, and you see like a lot of, you know, it's clearly like this is a labor of love from locals, and it's just so it's expansive. Like, you loop around the area of the track of this little train that you're straddling. I don't know. All these times, and you see all the little set pieces from multiple angles, and you know, there are long stretches of, not long, but there are little stretches where there's not really anything going on, but, you know, when you get to a zone where there's a theme, they do kind of build up the theme, and the theme is fun, and they have these little animatronics, so it's like, you know, you start off and there's this kind of demented toy zone. God, there was
like scary scenery.
Yeah, it's scary scenery, and then there's this whole scene where it's a bunch of potted Audrey 2 plants from Little Shop of Horrors, and they're all singing, they're all clapping, you know, the mouths of the little animatronic plants are going all at the same time, and you hear, you know, them singing Mean Green Mother from the musical.
Yeah.
And then there's a giant Audrey 2 head that's kind of hydraulic that you go underneath. They're, like, the headroom gets really low on a lot of places. You have to duck as you're riding if you're, you know, a taller person.
Well, that's cool. You know, be mindful of your head, but that's cool.
But this train goes slow enough that you can probably see things coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, they mix in some jokes and some whimsy. You know, you go through this spooky, you know, rural town where there's, you know, these two, like, mutated-looking hillbilly dummies yelling at each other, and Then you go by an outhouse where there's a skeleton. They just have a track playing all these little fart noises.
Skeletons don't poop.
I know, right?
They don't have butts.
Yeah. So it's
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, it was cute. And then, you know, there's the kind of adorable license, like, copyright infringement going on. There was a zone where they're playing just a 30-second track of This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas on a loop, and there were Nightmare Before Christmas-themed mannequins that were not quite on... They weren't quite Nightmare Before Christmas characters, but they looked close enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's charming.
Yeah. So, and then we got the last index of Alone.
The last index alone, which I will be at later on tonight.
Yeah. Absorption.
I'm very excited.
I will say this one is cool because it's a big space.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you a wrong idea and have you walk in and expect more, but you know, it's they do make good use of a larger space than I've seen them have before.
Oh yeah. If they, that was, or at least I'm hoping I'll see for myself. But that was what I was hoping to see is, because like you know the October haunt last year was you know a whole building's worth of space to put you through things in and around. So you know you're not confined to you know just sort of the wings of a theater, or a conference room.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. There were. I mean, I can't wait until you go through it so we can actually hash it out. But there were things that I think were really kind of cool and would be really enjoyable to talk about.
Oh hell yeah! I believe it. I'm excited. We will. That will be probably the next show.
Yeah.
So that's tonight.
Get Dankzorbed.
Danksorption.
Yeah.
Got the title already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that's probably my last of the haunts.
Yeah.
Except for Boney Island. Gotta love Boney Island.
Oh, what's Boney Island?
It's just a little. It's a little haunt that not even really a haunt. It's more of kind of like a show. It's in the front yard of just this house. It's just like in a neighborhood, you know.
Oh, that's right. I've heard of this.
Yeah, and just like a little LA neighborhood, and they set up this like skeleton carnival in the front yard. And they have this big tall tree house, and they have these like fountains that play like a synchronized song. And I think they too borrow some nightmare music. And like each little window of their house has something different going on in it, and they have just you know it's like it's a sort of all ages thing where it's like just their yard is overrun with this you know sort of skeleton circus.
Was they weren't Boney Island was not at all featured in the homegrown haunt documentary, was it?
I don't know. I don't think, but I'm not entirely
What's
sure.
that called? American Nightmare?
Yeah, I think so. The American Nightmare or the American Scream or something like that.
The American Scream.
Spanish
The American Scream is
Dracula.
very aggressive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we do like. There's some places I wished I wanted to check out, like you know, 17th Door is newish, and that's been getting a lot of, you know, just buzz. And there's a new thing called Creep. Creep LA, yeah.
Creep LA.
Which
Is it a weirdo?
It's supposed to be kind of weird. I mean, I get sort of a like halfway vibe between Blackout and Alone, in the sense that it doesn't seem like they want to gross you out or sort of like assault your being as much as Blackout can seem. And, you know, at the same time, it doesn't seem as ethereal and as surreal as Alone, but they do seem, at least from the vague things I've read, that they want to kind of jar you and sort of play with what's going on in your mind. And they said their approach was more like all the things, talking to various, like, you know, haunt fans, like all the things that scared people most were very human and very psychological, so they want to recreate those kinds of situations.
Interesting.
So I've heard it's really good. I just don't think I can go through because that one's supposed to be very physical. So
you gotta watch out for stuff with your back. I will say be careful because this, while you're still semi in traction, the absorption does have
a lot of crawling.
Yeah, there's some bits where crawling is pretty hefty.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's not as much a concern, and I have a brace. So.
Okay. So brace it up.
Yeah, and I remember. I mean, every time they've like indicated me to crawl in the past, they've usually guided me down to like you know ergonomically like knees first. You know, then if they want you down, they usually apply pressure to your shoulders or whatever.
Yeah. They're
They won't kick out your knees.
yeah, they're very good about like not like, typically they're pretty good at mitigating the possibility for injury in their guests. I don't know how they handle it if there's like somebody who wants to go through who's wheelchair bound though.
I'm curious about that. I don't know if there is a way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It'd be a question to ask.
Yeah.
Their interview process, I've heard, is nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
To
A friend of mine was gonna interview the creator, then like they set up a whole like.
Oh, you told me about this.
Yeah, which is just like I just love their vibes.
They had to go through a mini version of the Alone stuff to get to the interview.
Yeah, exactly. But in like the real world.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But so yeah, we might check out Boney Island or something. But yeah, my hunt season will wrap up tonight most likely, unless anything like runs
Okay.
extra long. And yeah, then just Spookyween,
And then Spookyween draws to a close with tomorrow. As of right now, tomorrow is Halloween. Wait a minute. I just remembered something. There's a haunt we didn't talk about.
What haunt did we not talk about? Oh, wait, there's a memo coming through on the thing.
Yeah, hang on.
Oh.
It's everyone's favorite.
Terrorween
Spooky Days. Terrorween Spooky Days is bringing the much fright and very afraid, many terror and also gross for the Spookyween season.
You've really plowed through that paragraph. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Spookyween season is upon us again, and they have much new spooky maze.
They have
It's Tartantula.
Tartantula.
It's
the next I think it's the next evolution of spider.
Yeah. No, I mean, where can you go after spider but, just a bigger spider?
Yeah. They have another new maze that's going to be a VIP exclusive if you buy a VIP pass. You get to go through bats, many of them.
That sounds like a lot of bats.
That sounds like it could be fun. Bats, many of them.
And of course, classic mainstays like the Meats on a Hook, Scare Zone, also food court. You can add your very own face of your choosing to a pumpkin of your choice.
I didn't know they were doing activities.
Yeah, it's new.
Okay.
And they have the dancers in cage. Where are they going?
There's a picture of the cage. This literally looks like something a dog would go in.
Maybe it's like a sideshow. Maybe it's like a contortionist dancer.
Could be. There's what else have we got here? There's new scare zone. It is called Wet with an exclamation point.
Hey, water is pretty scary.
Yeah,
I think to fight for people's attention.
Yeah, I imagine that's going to have a lot of sprayers. So let's hope they sell like ponchos out front.
Hey man, just come wearing nothing but a poncho. It'll be a party.
Jor Herbum, executor of Creations, as we all know, says very proud to make people do into Wet.
Where does he get his ideas, man?
I don't know, man. He's just the master of spooks.
Master of spooks, right there. Master of spookimonies.
Hey, there's a photo of him. He's got a huge tie knot.
He does. He has a I wonder how much tie is left.
For those who don't know this, Jor Herbum looks vaguely European. He's kind of wall-eyed and has a lantern jaw.
Yeah, he's got a very pronounced jawline.
And a big-ass tie knot. I feel like this is a suit from the 70s.
Hey, man, he means business. All you need is one good suit to change the world.
Imagine Mads Mikkelsen if he was made out of Lego. I think that's what we're looking at with Jor Herbum.
I like it. I like that. Yeah. But a lot, a lot more spooky.
Yeah, but he's the Walt Disney of spooks when it comes to Terrorween Spooky Days.
I do believe in spooks.
Yeah. And if you want to know more, if you believe in spooks and you want to know more, go check out Infowars.com. They're putting chemicals in your water.
Oh my, that's not good at all.
I hate chemicals.
I don't like chemicals too. What if name one thing chemicals have ever done good for us?
I think they solve diseases.
You know what, man? Except for diseases. That's how that conversation always goes. Well, except for your example. What about this thing? Okay, except for those 2 examples. Like, and then it just becomes a never-ending chain of like, except all of those examples. I've won.
So yeah, Terrorween Spooky Days. It's going to be open. They're going to be open on the 30th of October, the 32nd of October, the 33rd of... These aren't real days.
Do we just assume those mean November?
The 30... Because
maybe they meant the 23rd, and
the thing is, they're not saying through. It's just literally like the 30... I'm reading all these individual numbers. It's the 32nd, 33rd, 34th, 37th, 38th, 42nd, 43rd, 50th through 59th. Then it says 62 through 17th of October.
Maybe there's like a strange Latvian calendar we don't know about.
Yeah,
maybe they have like a
I don't think this is
really long months.
Maybe this is the Georgian calendar or the Julian calendar.
Hey man, we're learning something new every day. We should look this up. Who has a 60-day month?
I don't know. Then I'm looking, and then open all December except Thursdays through Snuddays, as always.
Always, yeah.
Not open on Krampus.
Hey man, they gotta go see their families for Krampus. Krampus Day, man.
And then closing for renovations through. It says Javier, like Xavier, but with a J, through Javier. Oh, there we go, Javier. Well, I just didn't expect this to be
Who's Javier?
Latin. I don't know. Close for renovations, Javier 1st through ampersand, and then reopen on Morndis of First Spring.
Okay, so maybe they have like a 4-month seasonal calendar.
That I can't tell if Morndis is a day or like it's morning.
It's probably Monday. It's probably just the morning.
But here's the thing: there's Morndis and then there's Mundus.
Okay,
which one is
morning?
Morndis of First Spring,
Monday.
then Mundus of First Spring.
Yeah, the first Monday morning of spring is so specific.
And then the width of July is a Black Oats date.
Black Oats?
I feel like Black Oats would be like super brutal, just too much fiber.
Oh yeah, I mean,
what
is that doing to your insides?
It's probably full of cadmium.
Like I just imagine if you did like a if you put a scope down there with the Black Oats,
you just see these.
It would just be careening through your digestive tract, and heavy metal would be playing. Just like.
It'd just be the dark version of the opening to Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of I Get Around, it's just like this vicious, brutal metal riff. Anyway, so please.
It just powers from your mouth to your backside in like a few seconds flat.
Please, so in summary, please join us for Terrorween Spooky Days. Misspelled, or maybe this is the only proper spelling. We will scare you.
What if we've been saying it wrong all this time?
And maybe that's why they were kind of mad at us for that a little bit. Please join us for Terrorween Spooky Days. We will make so much fright you will dead.
That's a lofty promise.
I don't know if that's like their attempt at like a punny kind of tagline or what.
Oh, I don't think they wish harm on anybody.
Yeah,
maybe
they seem
it's
very
just
good-natured.
that spooky.
Yeah.
Maybe
It was scary so much that you will physically dead.
You will dead all over.
Yeah.
All over the land.
So,
all of your parts will dead.
And I think that's about everything.
That's Spookyween. Are you gonna marathon movies or shit on the day?
On the day of, I'm actually working that day, and sadly, I'm not getting holiday pay because Halloween has yet to become a federal holiday, which I think is garbage.
It's bullshit.
It's communist garbage that Halloween is not a federal holiday, or capitalist garbage, whatever.
I'm gonna run
it's fascism.
That's gonna be my first bill as president.
What?
Halloween, federal holiday.
Yeah.
Because I am running for the druid party.
We need to pay tribute to our honored dead and keep evil spirits away.
We also need to launch a war on, the spirits of the afterlife, because that boundary is thin come October 31st.
We gotta stop these ghosts who are coming over the border into the living world and taking our jobs.
And moving our stuff around.
Yes, and rattling our chains.
Yeah. And knocking things off of counters in the middle of the night.
I heard something great. It was the opening of the Halloween episode of This American Life this year. They talked about how there's this famous case of this house that these people thought were haunted. There were weird smells, and people were having, kids were getting sick, and they started seeing ghostly people appearing around the house. It turns out, and this was a house in the 1920s, turns out the furnace was leaking carbon monoxide into the house. So I want to see a horror movie that's fucking terrifying. Terrifying ghost story. Nothing can be done. Everyone's scared. Turns out, carbon monoxide.
So wait, were the spooky spectral people, were those like hallucinations? Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, people were hearing voices calling their names and ringing sounds. It was all hallucinations caused by carbon monoxide.
That would be funny as hell.
Yeah. Or it could be terrifying, because imagine if... This is my movie idea. You have like some kind of a ghost, a paranormal exorcist, ghost cleansing type person that comes in to help this family, and you turn out there's an ulterior motive, and they're leaching carbon monoxide to trick them into thinking that there are ghosts in the house so they can do something worse to this family.
Yeah.
It's like...
There's a way.
Yeah. Like, that is a horror movie I would want to see.
We just gotta find it.
Where it's like, even... Where it's like... You don't even get to be scared, because if you're scared, that means, like... The spooky ghost isn't as bad as the person who is taking advantage of the fact that you're scared.
Ooh. Man is monster.
Yeah. Turns out it's man.
I saw that movie the other week. It turns out it was man the whole time. Nothing spooky going on. What's going on here?
So, from everyone here at Dank Ass Stubs, once again, I'm Aaron.
I'm Jerry.
And stay spooky.
Stay spooky, habaneros. Because it's spicy food.